Hello, girly pops. Welcome back to my channel. Now, today I am doing a very, very, very hot topic that has been lighting TikTok on fire. The natural hair discourse has been all up and down my For You page. I've heard so many different takes, and the concept itself isn't something new. When it comes to the natural hair discourse, there is a lot of good and bad faith arguments, and some mixed in between. I know, obviously, essentially what's being said here is that we have beautiful hair. We as Black women, obviously, we are affected by texturism, colorism, featureism, all of these things. And I think, obviously, conversation is what allows for progression to move forward and understanding what's at play. So we're able to break it down and not be affected by things in the way that we would be affected by things if we were ignorant or obtuse or didn't know what was going on. We know that texturism is such a big deal. We know texturism is so firmly entrenched in so many different cultures, even within our own cultures. It's something that obviously is a byproduct of racism, is a byproduct of systemic oppression. So it isn't a topic that is light. And there is a lot of nuance that goes into this conversation. And I think it is so important. Before I get into all of the discourse and the different takes and the different opinions, I definitely want to touch on the nuance, because I think it's something that cannot be understated. It's definitely something that it goes without saying, but it definitely has to be highlighted, because a lot of the rhetoric, I feel, is quite binary. It's either or. Either you love yourself, you love being Black, you love your Blackness, you love your natural hair, or you're self-hating. And I think that rhetoric is very, very, very dangerous. And it's a very easy sliding scale towards just being and perpetuating a space that isn't open, that isn't inclusive. And I also feel like it's very purposefully misleading or obtuse. I feel like sometimes people are being a little bit willfully obtuse. It's like, okay, not only is like people aren't as strong as you or as strong-willed as you, but there are real life ramifications of texturism that we are able to see and experience when we wear our hair in different formats, or when we wear our hair in different styles or different ways. You 100% are going to be treated differently. So I feel like it's very disingenuous to act as though it's just this easy decision, and if you don't want to wear your natural hair, you've got something wrong with you. Texturism definitely comes into the conversation as a factor here. Yes, of course, it's easy. You have type 3 curly hair that's desirable and that has increasingly become a beauty standard. Yeah, it's easy for you to say, oh, I'm a natural and I've been natural for the last 15 years. But if you're type 4 and your hair is highly politicized, and even within your own community, you don't have safe spaces to wear your natural hair, or safe spaces to wear your natural hair are quite limited, right? We have a lot of internalized texturism that we haven't quite tapped into or haven't quite acknowledged. So it's very normal to kind of say, oh girl, like when you're getting your hair done, and things like that can perpetuate such harmful stereotypes and such harmful concepts, like self-concepts of the way you look when you've got your natural hair, that of course you're going to just opt for wearing wigs or weaves or extensions. And then we can talk about the real life ramifications, like in life, like in the workplace, in corporate settings, right? Where textured hair, different types of textured hair, different ways in which textured hair can be presented, whether it be locks, dreads, whether it be, in braids, or just even wearing your hair naturally in a fro. There is a lot of discrimination at play there. Matter of fact, we know that the Crown Act is something that has been put into legislation, particularly in places like America, because this discrimination has been so rampant and so overt. So it isn't an easy conversation. And I just think it's very disingenuous to make it so that it's just this binary. Either you love yourself or you hate yourself. It's like, no. And I feel like anytime we have these sorts of conversations, particularly within the Black community, it can be very reductive. That being said, there is a conversation to be had.
It's paining you because you know I'm right. It's doing you like this because you know I'm right. Ask yourself, when's the last time I went out with cornrows just like this? When's the last time I did a cheeky little twist out? When's the last time I did a cheeky little braid out? When's the last time I just washed my hair, put some conditioner on, a cheeky little style, and left the house? A lot of you can't say that. A lot of you can't say that. And you think that is normal? When you have children, yeah? How are you going to take care of their hair? Because the way you even do your hair, you wash it, condition it, comb it, blow dry it, kacham, kacham, kacham. Dealing with your hair with so much hate, but with a wig, silk serum, chi serum, section the thing, straighten it, chase it with a comb, care, frontal, package the hair like this. When you remove the glue, you remove it with such gentleness and care. But when you're removing the glue from your edges, you're just chakam like this, gripsing up the frontal like this, ripping off your hair like this, because you don't even care about what's underneath, because you know you're gonna slap it on. You're gonna slap on a wig after. Wow. It is sad and it's pathetic. So when your little girl says, Mommy, how do I wash my hair? I don't know. Just use Tresemme. No, not the Tresemme sander. I don't know. Just do whatever you want to do.
When it comes to something or such a sensitive topic as hair, of course, I'm not going to be able to touch on every single topic, but I definitely want to provide as much context as possible, because I feel like context is king in conversations like this, because you don't want to fall into binary black and white thinking. There are many different shades of gray. Yes, of course, there are valid critiques as to why people may not want to wear their natural hair, particularly if they are disparaging towards others. You know, when you talk about there's conversations about braids being birthday hair, or wearing your natural hair isn't suitable for graduation or isn't suitable for special occasions, you know, or like other people disparaging like others who do feel comfortable. I think that that's just as problematic as the inverse, when you are so comfortable. And, you know, of course, it's a fantastic thing to be comfortable in your own skin and your own features and the texture of your hair. Of course, that is a beautiful thing to not like let that texturism affect you on a personal level, even though it definitely has an effect on you on a wider societal level. I think it's beautiful to be able to unpack that and say, you know what, I don't care. I am who I am, and embracing that. I think that's a beautiful thing, but it's just as harmful the other way, where it's like, just because I'm comfortable, I expect that everybody else has that level of comfortability, or I'm not as empathetic as I should be or could be towards people who maybe find it to be a struggle, or perhaps towards people who haven't done the unlearning, who haven't, you know, sat with themselves and really thought, why do I have such an aversion to wearing my natural hair? You know, just because you've done the work, other people may be quite early on in their journey, and that's absolutely fine. And we should be a safe space for each other. And again, when it comes to this idea of natural hair, like I said, there's so many shades of gray and so much nuance to it. But this idea that, you know, people having a disdain for kinky curly textures or their own kinky curly textures, that just happened in a vacuum or a bubble, is just so disingenuous to me, because we know that our hair is highly politicized, highly critiqued, not only from external community, but internally. So many horrid stereotypes that are levied against Black women that are just not true. Very damaging things. Things used to be so much worse back in the day. I remember when I was in high school, and it's like all the shame that used to be surrounded, like wearing extensions and wigs and weaves, which ironically, you know, the way that it's discussed is as if it's only exclusive to the Black community. To the point where I've had personal experiences in my own life where somebody would comment on my extensions of my hair with a head full of tape-ins in, like, are you okay? Or like, I remember like my last place that I worked, I got my braids done, and then there would be people like, oh my gosh, how long did that take? And I would tell them, oh yeah, like this was a 10-hour job. This was an 8-hour job. Oh my gosh, I could never spend that long in a chair. Bearing in mind, these are people who literally spend hours and thousands to maintain their blonde or maintain their color, or are doing their own balayage with tape-ins. Like, the double standard is so astonishing to me that even people who are actively participating in the same behaviors cannot see that behavior in themselves and see how it's literally the same identical behavior, but because it's racialized when it comes to us, the same behaviors is racialized, but in other communities, it's considered perfectly normal. Like, we know the Kardashians wear extensions, like it's a calm thing, like it's not even something to even be discussed. But when it comes to Black women, it's something that's pointed out. It's something that's brought to the fray. Like, it's just so, again, it just goes to show the perverse nature of how Black women are monitored, hyper monitored, hyper visible, hyper critiqued. It's just so disgusting to me. Just, there is a level of ease. There is a level of being able to kind of be cohesive and just like fly under the radar when you are wearing wigs and weaves and things like that. So that point cannot be understated. I feel like, again, just to chalk it up to personal choice, we know texturism, there are tangible benefits to wearing your hair in a certain way. And texturism is so perverse. It's so pernicious. It's so baked into our social fabric as a society. Okay. Like it goes into the way you're treated, like at jobs, in academia, even when we come down to medical racism, which is such a big deal. Like it's not a joke. It's not something that's just so light that can be palmed off. And it's like there is level to privilege that people have where it's like maybe you come from families where natural hair was normalized, you know, that you had parents who were very, very, very aware of their racial identity and, you know, made that effort to foster that love for self in their children. There are many people who didn't grow up in households like that. There is so much nuance to this conversation. So just to act as though it happens in a vacuum is just so like not only is it disingenuous, I honestly just feel like it's perverse. It's horrible. Like it's just not, it almost teeters on gaslighting.
The natural hair community is starting to get so freaking insufferable. You guys are insufferable. Insufferable. And this is coming from someone who wears her natural hair. I've been wearing my natural hair for over 3 years. Like mini twist warrior over here. Okay? But you guys are insufferable. And the reason for that is because you guys like to act willfully freaking obtuse every time we have the conversation surrounding natural hair. You guys like to act willfully obtuse. There is a reason why black women have the relationship that they do with their hair. And oftentimes when we are having this conversation about natural hair, you guys like to pretend like this reason doesn't exist. And then more importantly, you like to gaslight black women into thinking that they're just self-hating to be self-hating. And that they just don't like their hair because they don't like the hair. There's a reason for this. We're not going to sit here and pretend like I don't get treated differently by society when I leave the house with bohemian knotless braids versus mini twist versus a headscarf. And then more importantly, we're not going to then try and sit here and gaslight me into thinking that the way that I am treated by society when I leave the confines of my house isn't important. We're not going to sit here and act like we haven't lived in a society in which has taught black women to hate the hair that grows out of their head. They don't hate it for no reason. They're not just being annoying about it. There's a reason for it. There is a reason for it. And every time we have this conversation around natural hair, you guys are so willfully obtuse and mean. You guys are just mean. And then you wonder why no one wants to listen to you. And then you wonder why no one wants to be a part of your little community. It's not a community. You guys are just haters. You guys are just haters and borderline bullies. That is what you are. I am the biggest proponent for black women learning to love their natural hair. I have a baby sister, 3 years old. And a part of the reason why I learned to love my natural hair is so that she doesn't have to grow up with the same kind of issues that I had to grow up with her natural hair. But I do that not by ignoring the reason why I feel this way, but by acknowledging it and learning to overcome it. No, what y'all expect people to do is y'all expect people to pretend like the issue doesn't exist. What y'all expect people to do is y'all expect people to just be like, oh, well, the world doesn't like your hair, so what? That doesn't mean anything. You need to stop because you're being willfully obtuse. Create an actual community around learning our hair. Create an actual community of honesty, transparency, openness, and empathy instead of going around basically yelling at every black woman who doesn't want to wear their natural hair and then pretending like there's some y'all need to stop. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. You guys are so insufferable. Wrap it up. Enough. Oh, black women are too attached to length. Oh, black women hate 4C hair. Oh, black women this. Oh, black women that. I need you guys to stop and instead reframe the conversation. You want black women to learn how to love their hair. You want black women to wear their hair more often. I agree. So let's find a way to do that by cultivating environments that allow black women the space to really feel the things that they feel about their hair and learning to overcome them. You don't like the way that your hair grows out of your head. That's okay. You don't like your curl texture. That's okay. You don't like the length of your hair, the thickness of your hair. That's okay. Here's how we can learn to love it. Here's how we can learn to like it. Here's how we can learn to elevate it. Y'all are so willfully freaking obtuse on this app. It's insufferable. You people are insufferable.
Not only is there a huge emphasis on texture, but there's also a humongous emphasis on length. And this emphasis on length, again, I find so disingenuous where people are just like, oh, black girls, we're just obsessed with length. Like, we're just obsessed with length. No, everybody is obsessed with length. Length is literally the benchmark that has existed for thousands of years when it comes to beauty standards, okay? Every single culture in the world is obsessed with length. So it's only policed when it comes to black women that all of a sudden black women you should be comfortable, with shorter hair textures or shorter hair lengths. And of course, again, your natural hair is your natural hair. Of course, you should be embracing it and accepting it. But this idea that you wouldn't covet something that is such an entrenched standard across all societies. We know that there are girls with type 4C hair who have very long hair, okay? This idea of length, it's natural to want to achieve that. And again, this is done not only in the black community, but every other community wears extensions to achieve this idea of length, right? To have longer lengths. I saw this rhetoric that was prevailing. People would feel more comfortable wearing their hair in its natural state if it was longer. And again, that isn't a society, that isn't an ideal that comes from nowhere. That isn't an ideal that's ridiculous for women in the black community to want to adhere to. Like I said, the beauty standard of long hair is entrenched across societies, across ethnicities, across cultures, right? So again, that length and that sort of adherence to length benefits those with looser curlier textures, because we know shrinkage is real. Of course, there are many people with type 4 hair who have very, very long hair, visibly long hair, right? But again, this ideal of length really benefits people who have a looser hair texture because that length is far more evident. Because again, shrinkage is a real thing, okay? So despite all of this context that I've given, and I've spent a long time talking about context, there is still a very valid conversation to be had, but I wanted to layer it with context, layer it with the fact that we know discrimination exists. We know texturism is so real. We know, again, that there are so many cultural norms and attitudes which make it very difficult to wear your natural hair. That being said, this idea of choice is something that definitely does need to be explored. And where it comes to disparaging others who do feel comfortable, I think that that is a real issue that definitely needs to be upended and rooted out. So according to peer review research, because this conversation is very important for a number of reasons, but according to peer reviewed research, black consumers spend up to 9 times more on hair products than any other group. And again, this is very important because we know that there is a very real epidemic of the black tax, where black hair products are often marketed or priced at a much higher price point than products that would be more generic and used by all other ethnicities, right? Because we know there is this emphasis on, moisture and making sure our hair isn't prone to breakage, making sure that our hair is in its most moisturized and healthy state, right? So again, they hike the prices up. Which just goes to show there are so many levels to this conversation and how deep the systemic discrimination goes that it is so disingenuous just to chalk it up to choice. So with all of that being said, wigs aren't just an aesthetic. Weaves are not just an aesthetic. Extensions are not just an aesthetic. Many times they're actually practical. Okay. If you just have to worry about your leave out or you're wearing a wig and you can just use, again, any generic products, it just makes life easier. And then on top of that, when you add the added layer of being treated better in society and being looked more favorably upon, it's a no-brainer as to why people may opt to wear wigs and weaves, regardless of ethnicity and race. So that alone tells you it's not just random, it's structural.
All the statements attached to black women's hair and the way that we do our hair is actually such a burden. If you wear it straight, if you wear it in a wig, you're trying to assimilate. If you wear it in an afro, if you wear it in locks, it says something about your political ideology, about your spiritual ideology, about your resistance against the system. Or maybe you just think an afro is beautiful. Or maybe straight hair is just lower maintenance and more convenient for your day-to-day schedule. Maybe you're wearing a wig because you're going through treatment for something, or you've lost your your hair due to heat damage or whatever, and you're using it as a transition whilst you grow it out, or whilst you learn how to look after your hair, or whilst you find someone who can help you look after your hair. Maybe you have alopecia. Maybe you have some health issues that's stopping your hair from growing. Maybe hair down your back matches your outfit today. Maybe having your hair slicked up matches your outfit today. Maybe the makeup look that you're going for really requires a big, flowy, puffy afro style. Maybe you just feel beautiful today, and so you decide that you want to wear your hair in the way that makes you feel the most glamorous, the most beautiful, the most put together, the most confident, says the most about your personality, the way that you feel like expressing yourself that day. Why is there so much burden and attached meaning to the way that Black women choose to wear their hair? Why does it have to mean something about what I believe in? Why can't we rest? Is that okay? Is it all right for us to rest sometimes? Is that good too? Hair is aesthetic. Hair is cosmetic. Hair is about beauty. Hair is not a political statement for me. If you want your hair to be your political statement, you are well within your rights to do that. Please stop projecting. I beg. It's not shallow to just want an easy, simple style that you can quickly do before you get out of the house and still look and feel put together and beautiful, and not be concerned and trepidatious about checking the mirror every 10 to 20 minutes because you know that your hair be doing its own thing and you have somewhere important to go. But most of us, it's simple. Your afro is not liberating if it wasn't your choice to wear it. If you were bullied into wearing your afro, even though it doesn't make you feel confident just yet, it doesn't make you feel beautiful just yet, you don't know how to look after it properly just yet, you haven't found a style that you feel yourself in just yet, that's not liberating. That's actually oppressive. We have over-politicized something that was supposed to be cosmetic, something that was supposed to be purely surface level. If you decide to cut it, if you decide to leave your split ends, if you decide to straighten it, if you decide to blow dry it, if you decide to wear it in an afro, if you decide to colour it, you should not be at fair for your health, you should not be at fair for your job, you should not be at fair for your reputation. And yet all of these things are ascribed to Black women's hair. Hair. It's dead cells, it's dead. Do what you like. Please, I beg.
Natural hair, natural ladies. Natural skin, natural babies. We can have that discussion all day long. We can do that, but what I need you to understand is I don't rock my hair like this every day. No, allow that, cuz. Allow it. Sometimes I switch up, and that's normal. That's okay. That's what's been stated. But what I need you lot to understand is accountability is necessary. Accountability is necessary. I'll tell you that tonight. Now, I've been blessed that my mum used to look after my hair. She used to do it. She used to do it on a daily basis. She used to make sure, yeah, it hurt. But she used to make sure, you know what, this hair needs to be Garrow. Fantastic, good woman. But what I need you to understand is, regardless if your hair is non-existent, see-through, short, not with us at the moment, that's fine. I'm going to try my hardest when my hair's out to do hairstyles that's appropriate for all hair types, for all hair lengths, because I don't want to leave you guys in the dust. I don't want to do that. I need you to understand that if you've got a wig on, the Lord still loves you. He does. If you're bald, the Lord still loves you. If your hair's up to your kneecaps like mine, the Lord still loves you. But what I need you to remember is, remember your natural state. You weren't born like the onions. Don't forget that. Come back to reality. You were born like us. So what you need to do is you need to be like, actually, let me just wake up and stop being angry. Because maybe the truth is hurting me. Maybe it's tickling me. Let me wake up. Once you've done that, then the next steps can be taken. Have a blessed day.
There is so much discourse around natural hair right now, and here are my 2 cents as someone who used to hate leaving their natural hair out. I have been bald more times in my life than I've had hair, simply because of the fact no one wanted to deal with my hair, I didn't want to deal with my hair, and I didn't let anyone touch it because I had a tender head. Once it finally grew, I put it in a bun damn near every day. Seriously, every single day, because I did not know what to do with it. In my sophomore year of high school, I sat with my natural hair. I said, I'm not going to keep hiding behind this thing and keep concealing it. I'm just going to wear it the way it came. I'm not trying to manipulate it. I'm not trying to make it anything it's not. I'm just going to sit with my natural hair. For a majority of my high school career, I wore my natural hair out. Washed it, left the house, went. Even when I had heat damage, I still wore an afro. Even when I didn't have a curl routine, I wore my afro. This, for me, was the most transformative thing I could have ever done for myself, because it taught me that I don't have to do crazy things to my hair. It can just be the way it came. So much so to the point where I prefer my natural hair. When I don't have braids in, I don't have a second hairstyle. It is just me and my hair. Natural hair for so long has been my homecoming hairstyle, has been my birthday hairstyle. Make natural hair work for you. It is your hair. It's growing out of your scalp. It's the way you came. Because of those years I took in high school to sit with and accept my natural hair, it's such a second nature to me right now, and it's everything I love about myself. Everything is always difficult the first time you do it. I know it definitely was for me to wear my natural hair anywhere, but after I took that first initial step, I can wear my natural hair everywhere. I'm gonna end this by saying wear your hair the way you want. All black hair is beautiful, but if there's anyone out there wanting to start their natural hair journey, just take that first step.
Also, there is a point to be said of the versatility and the creativity of wearing your hair and being able to switch it up. Like, I feel like that is just such a beautiful, thing about womanhood in general. You know, when they say a woman who cuts her hair is transitioning into a new period in her life, switching it up, switching up the color, switching up the style, like, it's just so amazing. And it keeps you current. It keeps you vibrant. I just love it. And I think that there's something to be said of, being able to wear a wig, being able to wear extensions, being able to wear your natural hair, but that versatility is important. And one of the points in the rhetoric that's going on right now on TikTok that I really agree with is that your natural hair is also an option. It's not that you have to be, rigid and only stick with wearing your natural hair. And if you wear wigs, you're a self-hater. It's like, no, it's also an option, a viable option, a beautiful option even.
Natural hair discourse that's happening on this app is reminding me a little bit too much of the discourse we tend to see on Muslim TikTok surrounding the hijab. And let me tell you why. First and foremost, I feel like it's important to say that there is obviously truth to the conversation that's being had. Black women should want to take better care of our hair more than any other hair that we're putting in our head. But I don't think that it's everyone's truth. Obviously, every woman who opts to wear wigs, braids, doesn't mean you hate your hair. But I think the problem is not the content of the conversation, it's the tone. There's nothing productive about the tone of this conversation. You can't force feed people into doing what's good for them. You can't bully people. You can't name call people. You can't tear people down and expect them to believe that you actually have their best interests at heart. And that is the same thing that we're seeing happen on Muslim TikTok almost every other week, where there's either a woman who is coming for somebody who is not wearing the hijab correctly, is struggling to wear the hijab, who is simply taking it off. Like, yes, the advice is the truth. Yes, we are supposed to wear the hijab a certain way, but you simply cannot think that speaking to people in that tone is productive in any way, because you most definitely wouldn't do that in person. Most definitely wouldn't do that with your friends and your family and the people you care most about. So how are you going to sit here and tell me that you... Oh, that's good. I think the number one thing that we can all take away from this conversation, whether you're a black woman or not, whether you wear hijab or not, is to have empathy, is to talk to people like they're humans, not like they're, I don't know what, but like it just proves more and more to me that a lot of these conversations are not coming from a place of love and genuine care, but stroking our egos. Like,
about the whole point of beauty standards is that it is naturally unattainable for everybody, right? Like I said, that emphasis of length, it's not that easy. Of course, for some people, maybe easier than others, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of race. Okay. We see across all hair textures, some people have a way easier time growing their afro, growing their hair than others, some people have very fine hair, very brittle hair that, breaks off very easily. This is regardless of hair texture. So yeah, this has just been even a great data point for myself, first and foremost, and like really just sitting with myself and thinking, okay, is it an over-reliance on wigs and weaves, which I love? Don't get me wrong. Like, I love switching up the look. I love braids and I think it's just so much beauty in womanhood and being able to switch up your look, but also loving my own hair. So it is very important to unlearn these things. They are very negative, and, we can't move forward unless we grab change by the horns, and actively do our own things, even if we just normalize it to ourselves before trying to make ripple waves throughout the community and throughout society at large. Just like changing our own perceptions is very, very important. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video essay. Please let me know what you guys think. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep the conversation respectful. I love you guys so much. I'm so sorry if I was very nervous or very jittery, but I haven't done one of these videos in a very long time. But I love you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Mwah!